Yeah, has it been 18 years? 18 seasons? Jeez.
Hey everyone! Today we're going to take a look at Mercedes and the latest happenings in the races, especially after the thrilling Spanish GP. It seems like Mercedes has finally found its rhythm this season. Both Hamilton and Russell have been delivering breathtaking performances. In today's video, we're going to analyze everything that happened at the Spanish GP, including Hamilton's reflections on his career, other teams catching up to Red Bull, the unique challenges of the sprint format, and Russell's perspectives for the rest of the season and future regulations. If you're a Formula One fan, you won't want to miss this detailed analysis. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button so you don't miss anything, and let's get started. Lewis Hamilton's performance at the Spanish GP was simply brilliant. After some challenging races, he finally managed to outperform George Russell in both qualifying and the race, securing his first podium of the season. It was amazing to see how the new updates on the Mercedes car showed positive results, leaving behind the problems from the beginning of the year. Hamilton was visibly more confident and motivated, something that was clear in his post-race statements. He mentioned that he didn't expect to be competing in Formula One after 18 years, but he feels rejuvenated by the team's recent progress. It's inspiring to see how he remains competitive and dedicated, even after so much time in the sport. He also talked about the positive energy within the team and the clear development direction that is finally bringing results. This renewed confidence was reflected in his performance on the track and his attitude off it. Hamilton emphasized that days like the one at the Spanish GP are essential to keep the competitive fire alive within him. With the team showing signs of recovery, Hamilton is optimistic about the upcoming races. He's happy to be back in the competitive mix, which only raises his expectations for the rest of the season. What do you think? Will Hamilton be able to maintain this competitiveness and secure more podiums? Leave your opinion in the comments and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. The sprint format, which will be used at the Austrian GP, brings unique challenges for all teams, including Mercedes. One of the main difficulties is the limited time for car setup, as there is only one free practice session before the sprint race. Hamilton mentioned that Mercedes usually isn't very fast right out of the gate, but in some cases, like in Canada, the initial performance was surprisingly good. Tire management is another critical aspect of the sprint format. Hamilton explained that tire temperature is fundamental to the car's performance. Mercedes has struggled to find the ideal balance between the car's mechanical and aerodynamic components, making tire temperature even more crucial. He noted that if the tires aren't at the right temperature, performance can be compromised, affecting both qualifying and the race. Hamilton also mentioned that Ferraris, for example, faced tire temperature issues in Montreal, highlighting how decisive this factor can be. For him, the sprint format adds an extra layer of complexity but also an exciting element, as there isn't much time for adjustments, and the team needs to be quick and precise in its decisions. George Russell suggested some changes to the regulations that could help balance competitiveness among teams. One of Russell's main suggestions is to revise the wind tunnel time rules. He believes that the time distribution should be more proportional to the points accumulated by the teams, not just their positions in the championship. Russell highlighted that despite Mercedes' progress, Red Bull still has a significant advantage, as evidenced by their 7 wins in 10 races. He pointed out that the reduction in development time for Red Bull wasn't as impactful as it could have been, given that the difference between second and third place in the Constructors' Championship was minimal. He proposes that the FIA consider adjusting wind tunnel time more fairly, taking into account the actual points difference between teams. This would allow for more balanced development and could level the playing field, making the competition fairer and more exciting. Russell also commented on the need to maintain some of the current rules, which are starting to show positive results in terms of competitiveness. He believes that if the regulations are written correctly, the teams will continue to get closer to each other, as has been seen recently. George Russell has shown a positive outlook on the current season, especially after the last 3 races. At the Spanish GP, he had an excellent performance, starting with a superb launch and finishing ahead of several direct competitors. Russell highlighted that Mercedes is finally finding itself in the competitive mix, especially against Ferrari and McLaren. Russell mentioned that Ferrari will likely be competitive at the Austrian GP, as in previous years, but he believes that Mercedes has a good chance of competing for pole positions and, eventually, for victories. He also expressed satisfaction in seeing Lando Norris's progress, an old acquaintance from the junior categories, now competing for poles and victories with McLaren. Qualifying at the short Red Bull Ring circuit will be critical, and Russell highlighted that getting through Q1 is already a complex task due to intense competition. Teams that are lower in the standings tend to use more sets of soft tires, while Mercedes tries to save these compounds for Q3, creating an interesting and challenging dynamic for the team. In the last few Grands Prix, we've seen a significant catch-up from other teams to Red Bull. Hamilton commented that this phenomenon is natural as we approach the end of the current regulatory cycle. Teams like McLaren, Ferrari, and, of course, Mercedes are starting to match Red Bull in performance. Hamilton drew a parallel with what happened to Mercedes at the end of the previous regulatory cycle when Red Bull managed to win the 2021 title. He believes it's normal for teams that are behind in the championship to have more time to develop and improve their cars, thus reducing the gap to the leaders. Additionally, Hamilton expressed concern about the regulatory changes planned for 2026. He fears that these changes could once again destabilize the balance that is forming, leading to another development race among teams. For him, it would be ideal to find ways to level the playing field, perhaps by adjusting the rules to help teams that are behind get closer to the leaders. Mercedes seems to be on the right path to reclaim its top position in Formula One. Both Hamilton and Russell are showing significant improvement in their performances, and the team's efforts are starting to pay off. The upcoming races will be crucial to see if these improvements can be maintained and expanded. As the season continues to unfold, it will be interesting to see how Mercedes handles the challenges of the sprint format and how Russell's suggestions for future regulations might influence the competitiveness of the races. The catch-up of other teams to Red Bull adds an extra element of excitement and unpredictability, promising an electrifying end to the season. What do you think? Will Mercedes be able to keep up this pace and challenge Red Bull for the top spot? Leave your comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. See you next time.